What good folks, it's Darktry19 and welcome back to another What If Naruto Gained the Power of the Predator. So like, comment, subscribe and share, but all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 5 Marking Territory. Naruto was in the Namikaze clan estates, as he had been given everything that was his inheritance despite some minor protest from the two councils, but that was stopped when his wrist blades were drawn, and his laser-guided dual chakra casters aimed at certain people in the room. After that, the demon vessel that was once banished from his village had entered the home that was rightfully his for the first time in over a decade and a half since he was born. Hinata wanted to come with him, of course, to be his emotional support in all of this, but Naruto told her not to since he needed to do this by himself, and would call for her when his time in it alone was over. Hinata understood, as this was an emotional and private moment for Naruto in being in the home of his long-deceased family that many had long forgotten. Naruto walked along the halls of the large building to see it had gathered quite a bit of dust over the years since his father had put up blood seals over the place to keep anyone aside from family from entering. In the main area, Naruto saw the picture of his parents together in a family portrait that was no doubt made shortly after they were married, and no doubt happened before he was conceived. So many feelings rose within Naruto's being, as he looked at the large portrait of the two, and wondered what was the right emotion to feel in regards to his parents. Naruto knew his mother died giving birth to him, as he saw such memories thanks to Kyuubi finding and preserving them for when the time was right to see them. Kushina knew what her husband was going to do in regards to their son, but Naruto could see from the memory that she would have loved him no matter what, and would have protected him from the Bakas that wished to destroy him within the leaf. Naruto's father, however, that was a different story. Naruto's father, who was Namikaze Minato, tried to do a noble thing, and screwed it up in the belief the village would follow his dying wish. The man himself had even admitted that it would most likely not be the case right before his own death, and yet had not done anything to ensure some kind of safety net for him. What really burned the hunter's blood more than anything was the fact his own godparents had left him, and knew that they needed to be by his side. And where were they during his time suffering? Gambling, peeping, and getting drunk almost every night to shut out the voices in their head to take care of their godchild. Naruto also blamed them too for his suffering, as well as he believed that his father should have done something to make sure that he was loved should the two back out of their responsibilities, and the old monkey lose his spine after becoming Hokage again. Though that was all in the past now, as nothing could be done to correct it, and Naruto didn't want to think about it any more than he had to. Looking away from the picture, Naruto headed towards the clan library, and see just what his old man had left him there that was worth looking at. Konoha Memorial Stone. Several hours later, Kakashi stared at the large stone where so many people close to him had died, with the list being pretty extensive like so many others. His teammates, his sensei, his sensei's wife, the sandaime, and shinobi comrades that were sent out on missions that cost them their lives. When Tsunade summoned him to her office, she had cut to the chase, and yelled in a demanding voice why he had ignored Naruto for the Chunin exams finals. His answer? Sasuke was fighting the best and only deserved to be trained by the best. Oh yeah. That was a great answer. Tsunade put him in the hospital for that, and he wasn't out for a whole 2 weeks. When he did get out, Kakashi was told that he had betrayed the very code he lived by, and betrayed one of his students in favor of another that had turned traitor. Not only that, but the Fire Daimyo had seen fit to remove any kind of restriction placed on Naruto's heritage, and announced that the boy was in fact Minato's son. Apparently, the Sandaime in his infinite wisdom had felt that Naruto's identity should be kept a secret from all, but a select few, and that he should grow up living a normal life. As if anything about the kid's life had been normal. "You always were so predictable in your actions, Hatake," said Naruto, as he uncloaked himself, and appeared behind the Jounin. "Hello Naruto," said Kakashi in a depressed voice without looking back to see his former student. "Lost on the road of life again? Or maybe you're lost on the road of the present from having constantly lived in the past?" Sad Naruto, as he saw Kakashi stiffen, and then the Jounin's shoulders slacken. "A little bit of both, I guess," said Kakashi before finally turning around to face Naruto. "How have you been since I left this shithole? Must have been pretty painful to know that you bet on the wrong horse when it came to training only one of the 3 students you had," said Naruto, as he saw Kakashi wince at his words, and was glad they were hitting home. "Naruto, I know I wronged you, but had I known you were Sensei's son I would said Kakashi, as he was silenced by the speed that Naruto moved, and now had a jagged-edged sword aimed right at his throat. "Being the Yondaime's only child should have had no influence on my training you baka. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be shinobi of the leaf, but you along with just about everyone else didn't want me to be one, and tried to sabotage my dream. Does it comfort you at night, Kakashi? To know that you betrayed your sensei's own son, who wanted to be Hokage like his father, and that you favored the son of traitors that became one just like them," said Naruto, as he saw Kakashi look away with his one eye, and the Jounin was forced to look at him when he felt more metal touch the flesh of his neck. "I am the only family the Yondaime needed. You were an accident." "Nothing more," said Kakashi, as he had always known, but pretended he didn't, and wanted to get back at the boy's mother for it. "Shame my father isn't here for you to tell him that to his face. As usual, you take the coward's way out, and act like a whiny bitch while drowning in the past so you don't feel any of the guilt. Do you feel any guilt, Hatake? Do you feel any guilt in betraying my father? Do you only find joy in knowing you hurt his son because it soothes your ego and getting back at my mother for loving him? You act like an Uchiha, who wants what he can't have, and kills those that do to make you feel better. No wonder your father killed himself. He probably saw the same thing I do now and didn't want to live with the fact he ironically raised a carbon copy of an Uchiha. Funny how you are now half of one with that Sharingan eye and think you're better than everyone," said Naruto, as he smirked behind his mask, and saw Kakashi narrow his eye at him while tightening his fists. "My father killed himself because he felt guilty for choosing to save his comrades over a mission," said Kakashi, as he could practically picture Naruto's smile behind the damn mask, and wished he could reach for a kunai. "And not once did you tell him it was okay. Like the villagers did with me, you went along with the crowd, and probably didn't tell him that you were proud he chose his comrades over a mission that would have gotten them all killed. You helped cause your father's decision to kill himself because you didn't have the courage needed to tell him otherwise. There is a personal place in hell for you when you die, Hatake, and I hope you enjoy spending your time there suffering for your sins, alone," said Naruto, as he retracted his blade, and turned to leave with Kakashi acting quickly before putting the point of a kunai to his former student's neck. "You're one to talk about hell like you're some kind of saint here, Naruto. Your hands are stained in blood just like mine. Even more than mine from your official kill count, if the rumors are to be believed, and I have no doubt they are true," said Kakashi, as he was not about to have this bastard child of the Yondaime talk to him like he was some second-rate shinobi, and throw down a punk card that couldn't be met with a response. "Please, I've heard those rumors, Hatake, and they are hardly accurate. My kill count is by far much higher than what they say it is. Oh, one more thing for your own records, my so-called sensei, while my hands may be stained in blood, they are stained in the blood of the guilty, and those that embrace betraying friendships," said Naruto before he went poof to reveal he was a shadow clone and the real one was behind Kakashi before stabbing the man in the back out through the stomach while a hand was over the Jounin's mouth to cover up the scream. "You won't get away with killing a leaf shinobi this time, Kit," said Kyuubi, but his words were ignored by his vessel, as he felt the satisfaction Naruto felt from doing this, and pulling the sword harshly out of the wounded man's body. "I'm not going to kill you, Hatake. To me, you aren't even worth killing, not even worth skinning, and hanging up in a tree for everyone to see your shame. That would be your death. If I ripped out your skull, I would sooner break it in my hands before I accepted it as one of my trophies, and dissolve your body into nothingness so not even a speck of you survived to be blown into the winds. Instead, I'll leave you the way you were meant to be long before I met you, and that my lazy former sensei is in the form of a crippled body to match your mind. Enjoy the rest of your miserable life being dead from the waist down," said Naruto, as he left Kakashi to either live his life in a wheelchair, or die of blood loss while crawling to the hospital. Either way, Naruto didn't care and never would. "Unknown location, it is as we feared. The masked hunter is the Kyuubi vessel," said Pain, as he now stood among the various projected people in the room, and saw some of them were nervous. "That means it's true that Itachi and Kisame are dead because of him. Who are we going to fill in their spots with?" said Konan, as she knew that any members they got were far, and in between in terms of potential. "Correct. From what we have been able to determine, Orochimaru along with his right-hand man Kabuto are both dead too, and the choice of missing nin with potential have thinned out over the years thanks to the Kyuubi vessel killing them all," said Pain, as he saw the other members of the organization looking a bit concerned since one of their targets was not the weak pushover they thought he was, taking out two their strongest members aside from their leader, and his own partner standing beside him. "Do we really need them for the final part of our mission?" said Sasori, as he knew that his mission was to get the one-tailed demon, but that may prove difficult if Naruto chose to hunt the other members of Akatsuki, and take them out altogether. "No. Their rings, however, are an entirely different matter, and we need to find them for our plans to work," said Pain, as he suspected that Naruto would have the rings of Itachi, Kisame, and Orochimaru now after killing those three. "How do we proceed?" said Konan, as she looked at Pain, and saw him frowning slightly and thought. "We will hunt down the other demon vessels and then focus on the Kyuubi vessel once the others have been extracted," said Pain, as he saw them nod, and leave now that the matter had been resolved. My pet's vessel has gotten stronger than even I had anticipated. Most troubling, but no matter, it won't be long before I achieve my status in being the one true god of this world, and have its populous bow before me when I become the new 10-tailed Juubi, thought Madara from the shadows of the room before he too left the area. Konoha Namikaze Estate Master Bedroom. 2 days later, the sounds of flesh smacking flesh echoed throughout the massive house, as Naruto was currently pounding into a happy Hyuga Hinata from behind, and the said girl was loving every second of it. Once Naruto got his house cleaned up, he immediately invited Hinata over, who did just that, and in a very sexy dress with a look on her face that was simply glowing. A few comments about how sexy Hinata looked, showing her around the estates, then ending up in the bedroom, and the two soon lost their clothes before entering in a world of passion. And that was hours ago. "Say you are mine, Hinata-chan. Say you are forever mine," said Naruto, as he nipped her neck, thrusting into her like a jackhammer, and with the strength of one while the girl was currently lost in a world of pleasure. "I'm forever yours. Fuck. Oh Kami. I'm yours Naruto-kun," said Hinata, as took her from behind, and his hands massaged her breasts in a dominating fashion. "Then I claim you Hyuga Hinata as mine," said Naruto, as he sped up his thrusts, and came with a might roar that was matched only by Hinata's screams of pleasure that filled the house. The two lovers collapsed further onto the bed panting from so many hours of passionate sex, with Naruto rolling his much larger, heavier form of Hinata, and placing the woman on top of him in the process since they were still connected at the hip. As they lay there, Hinata let out a sigh of complete satisfaction, as Naruto wrapped them up in a blanket, and let out what sounded almost like a purring motion that was music to the Hyuga's ears. "Naruto-kun, can I ask you a question?" said Hinata, as she let out moans of pleasure, and loves how one of Naruto's hands is still groping one of her breasts. "Anything Hinata-hime," said Naruto, as he drowned himself in the sensations his body felt right now, and the person he was with. "If you left the village, would you take me with you?" said Hinata, as she wanted to be with Naruto, and didn't care if she had to give up being a leaf shinobi. "If that is what you wish. I was planning to pack things up and head to Wave Country when things calm down." "How does that sound?" said Naruto, as he knew the people there would welcome him, and Hinata to their land since he was Wave Country's hero. "That would be nice. I heard a rumor that Spring Country's ruler misses you too, and that she wouldn't mind if you stayed in her country to be the cage of their shinobi village there," said Hinata, as so many people outside of the Leaf would want Naruto to stay in their lands, and each one brought golden opportunities for him. "Yeah? That is very interesting. I become a cage of their shinobi village within Spring Country, gain an alliance with Suna, and trading rights with Wave Country would be interesting," said Naruto, as he knew from the letter Gaara had sent him earlier yesterday that he now understood why Baki had been killed, and held no ill will towards his fellow demon vessel. "You would make a great cage of any shinobi village Naruto-kun," said Hinata, as she felt him stir a little, and felt a certain part of him coming back to life. "And an even better cage with you by my side Hinata-hime," said Naruto, as licked her earlobe, and giving signs of another round in bed. "You insatiable Naruto-kun," said Hinata, as she flexed her body with the help of using her Hyuga-born chakra control skills to stay attached to him, and now straddle his waist. "You have only yourself to blame for that Hinata-hime. And that action you just did also tends to get one's blood pumping to a certain area of the body," said Naruto, as he thrust up, and making Hinata gasp in pleasure. "And what a certain part of you it is," thought Hinata, as she began to ride Naruto, and felt his hands once more on her impressive bust. Hinata could get used to this. Hokage Tower. 2 days later, Tsunade sighed heavily, as she rubbed her temples to keep the mind-splitting headache that threatened to destroy her at bay, and looked at Naruto with pleading eyes. Eyes that had no effect on him whatsoever, as she had spoke to him for the last hour on what his plans were while staying in the Leaf, and she didn't like what he said. Naruto had made it clear that his time within the Leaf was going to be temporary, as that had been made clear by the young hunter's few choice words for the people within it, and wasn't going to live in an arrogant village any longer than he absolutely had to. Tsunade had tried to convince him to reconsider, since his return to the Leaf would go a long way to having the village become what it once was. Naruto responded that you can change the face of the Hokage of the Leaf, but the people within it would for the most part always be arrogant bekas, and those that aren't being in the minority. Please reconsider, Naruto. You still have friends here. You saw what they did for you when fighting those rude Anbu. Doesn't that prove to you that there is hope for the village, said Tsunade, as she saw the once more masked form of Naruto in his exotic armor along with the regal-looking robes with the namikaze, and Uzumaki symbols on it to let everyone know just who was in the Leaf that the people once hated. No. Not yet. Konohamaru and his friends have the potential to one day do that, but they have a long way to go, and the others will one day be clan heads that will one day be a part of the councils. Where I go, they cannot follow, and even if they did make an attempt, it would make them question their nerve in being what they are in terms of being shinobi, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade nod her head since she knew that he was referring to his methods of killing people, and that such methods would weigh heavily on their consciousness. So what do you plan to do while under the temporary employment of the leaf? Said Tsunade, as she knew he had no intention of halting whatever plans he had yet to share with her, and not all of it if he decided to share with her. Kill the rest of my enemies that wish to hunt me and the rest of my demon vessel kin before they can do anything. After they are no more, the fate of the Leaf Village, I will leave in your hands until Konohamaru is old enough to take that title from you. Be the next Hokage, said Naruto, as he didn't want Tsunade to know he was going to possibly pay a visit to a certain daimyo, and famous actress of the now named Spring Country Kazana Koyuki with Hinata to become the leader of their shinobi village. The last thing Naruto needed was for Tsunade to give the secret order to terminate him after leaving the village to several Onbu squads in order to prevent a potential threat from attacking the leaf. I still wish you would reconsider staying in Konoha on a permanent basis, Naruto. Those that care about you would wish for you to stay too, said Tsunade, as she hoped that the idea of staying for the people that did care would cause the hunter to reconsider, and be a permanent asset of the leaf. And on a personal note, be her surrogate brother once more instead of this noticeable gap between them that seemed so awkward for Tsunade, and have that family bond that she wanted so much from Naruto. Again, the answer is no, and I won't change my mind simply to appease your aching heart, Tsunade. Do not think I am unaware of your responsibilities you and Jiraiya neglected when I was growing up, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade wince, and sensed the super pervert hanging outside of the window of this room wincing too. The bond Naruto had with the two had been torn, almost broken fully, and it was only due to his code of honor that the notorious hunter decided to help the leaf out right now. I understand. Can't blame the Hokage of Konoha for trying, said Tsunade, as she gave him a weak smile, and saw him nod before getting out of his chair to take his leave from her office. This village has much to answer for. I understand the Fire Daimyo has already done his own share of punishing the people here in the leaf, but that is his way of hurting them, and my way of doing things is completely different. What is that old saying that people use to say, Tsunade? In for a penny. In for a pound, I believe, is the old saying you old folks said back in the day, right? Well, if that is indeed the case, then the leaf owes me a lot more than just a pound, and I aim to collect in full, said Naruto, as he left the room while activating his cloaking system, and decided to pay a certain someone a visit. Training ground number 5 to 20 minutes later, Uchiha Sasuke was currently training his guts out with rage burning within his heart, as he pounded on the training post, and picturing it to be his most hated enemy in all of the elemental countries. It wasn't Itachi, as the man was dead, and Sasuke had made peace with that face's big brother was slain by someone stronger than him. No. The biggest enemy right now was the one who defeated him at the Valley of the End, the one responsible for bringing him back to Konoha, and forced him to face the punishment set down by the inferior clan heads. The same clan heads that ordered his bloodline sealed off in all ways possible to reproduce it in order to revive his clan to the glory it once had. Naruto. When Naruto left, Sasuke was glad that the loser was gone, and believed he would get a slap on the wrist for what he did since the councils gave him whatever it was he desired. However, when Jiraiya came in with a smirk on his face with Tsunade giving off one of her own, the Uchiha knew something had happened that was not in his favor, and tried to fight off the Toad Sannin when the man told him he was in the boys' room to seal up his bloodline forever. Then came the rumors of the monstrous demon that skinned and took heads as trophies of his various victims that were killed. Sasuke had become intrigued by this guy, as the man only hunted the strongest of missing nin and shinobi from other villages that the man faced. In a way, it seemed fitting to Sasuke that his enemy was also the one he wished to one day kill after Itachi was declared killed by Masked Hunter that he recently learned was none other than Naruto, and wished to fight his former teammate once more. Sasuke wanted to see if he had regained any of his lost strength that had been robbed from him by Jiraiya's sealing of his Sharingan and see if there was any chance of proving that even a crippled Uchiha was superior to those around him. I heard your bloodline was sealed away, but even I'm surprised they let you back into the shinobi ranks, and continue your training, said Naruto, as he appeared to the right of the Uchiha, and saw Sasuke looking at him with cold vengeful eyes. Welcome back, loser. Have you gotten taller? Said Sasuke mockingly, as he smirked at Naruto, who cocked his head to the right, and then back again. Is that all you have to say, team? Something about my height? And here I thought you would have gotten stronger both in body and in mind. After your Sharingan was sealed away, I thought you'd have learned humility, and grow out of your arrogant nature that all of your clan possesses. Yet here you are, Still thinking that you are better than everyone else, and I bet right now you are having quite a few thoughts in wanting to kill me to somehow get stronger than even your dead brother. Am I right, Sasuke? Said Naruto, as he saw the boy frown and snarl at him while turning his hands into tight fists. Shut up. Regardless of my Sharingan being sealed away, I will always be better than you, loser, and I will prove I better than everyone in Konoha when the time is right, said Sasuke, as he got a laugh from Naruto, and it was a cruel cold laugh that brought chills to the Uchiha's spine. And here I thought Uchiha Sasuke had no sense of humor. Let me ask you something, Sasuke. When we were at the academy, didn't it strike you odd that the teachers would ask me questions no one at the academy could answer? That my papers always seemed to be harder to figure out, but the teachers ignored why it was, and that any questions I asked was met with being kicked out of the classroom during the entire lesson? Ever wonder if that was never the case? That people didn't hate me? That the teachers had actually encouraged my development rather than hinder it, and I had a family to teach me things about life that your clan did with you? Ever wonder what it would have been like if Kakashi trained me like he did you? I would have been a high-level Jounin in a good 2 years, while you would just barely be qualified to become a Chunin since you were late for the Chunin exam finals, said Naruto, as he saw Sasuke looking like he was about to have steam coming out of his ears in rage, and all because of the one simple truth the Uchiha knew was undeniable. That Naruto was right. Sasuke had everything handed to him while Naruto had nothing, and still Naruto had been the stronger of the two of them when it came down to the two of them fighting. It doesn't matter. You were never worthy of having the power this village gave me, and you could never hope to understand how to properly use it, said Sasuke, as he was once more rewarded with that same cruel laughter from the masked demon vessel. You think I don't understand power, Sasuke? I have the Kyuubi sealed inside of me. I can use its power if I have to, but I choose not to, because power is not something to be tossed around or abused like you would no doubt do if it was in your possession. It requires finesse and control to wield power, Sasuke. If you lack either, the destruction you would cause would be unimaginable, and innocent blood you spill would be on your hands forever, said Naruto, who saw Sasuke smirk and shrug his shoulders. Like I care about innocent people. I only care about myself. Everyone else is just cannon fodder and a stepping stone on my way to achieving what should rightfully be mine, said Sasuke, as he got into a fighting stance, and if he could see through Naruto's mask, he would see the devilish smile across his former teammate's face. That is the difference between the two us, Uchiha. I may spill blood, but it will never be that of an innocent person, and I will never betray others for more power. It's no wonder your brother killed your clan, since they were all power-hungry bekas just like you, said Naruto, as he knew just how to provoke Sasuke, and saw his former teammate now looking infuriated beyond measure. Damn you, Naruto. When I kill you, I'm going to mount your head on my wall as my own prized trophy, and then I'll bring that Hyuga slut Hinata over to my house to see it before I make her my bitch, said Sasuke, as he charged at Naruto, who stood perfectly still, and waited for the Uchiha to dig his own grave. It was long overdue for the Uchiha to learn humiliation, and you can't spell humiliation without humility. When Sasuke did get close enough, Naruto drew his sword in a flash, and seconds later the bloodline crippled Uchiha was now physically crippled with 2 limbs now severed from his body. Sasuke screamed out in pain, as his left leg along with right arm had been severed off at their respected limb junctions of knee and elbow, while Naruto himself let the screams become music to his ears. You're so pathetic, Sasuke. Just like your sensei. I hope you share a room together in the hospital ward, since he's just as crippled as you in more ways than one. Perhaps you two can talk on how you let your arrogance and pride help cripple you both long before my blades ever did that deed, said Naruto, as he left, knowing that the Anbu would be here any minute, with Tsunade watching his actions with the Sandaime viewing orb, and moving to save the life of the Uchiha. Slums the apartment complete, Naruto walked into his old slowly falling apart home that was his place of living for over half a decade, as he was kicked out of the orphanage at the age of 4, and had to live off garbage for the next 6 months before the Sandaime finally took time to notice him long enough to set up a place here. Looking back on it, Naruto wished that what he was now was also watching over himself back then, and got the Sandaime like the old baka he was. But now was not the time for wishing vengeance on those that could not feel it, as Naruto had means of getting it in other fashions, and hoped the old cage was seeing this from within the deep regions of hell. Walking into the building, Naruto made his way to the apartment landlord, who was an old arrogant baka, and on several occasions beat him with a cane for no apparent, at the time, reason. Stopping at the wooden door, Naruto knocked several times, and waited for the door to open before he awed the bitter old man that hurt him while living here. The old man looked the same, as he did back then, and seemed to be frozen in time in terms of showing age. At first, The old man's eyesight had prevented him from seeing Naruto clearly, but once he did, the old man instantly tried to shut the door, and failed to considering just who it was that he was trying to keep out. With a demonic roar, Naruto destroyed the door, and sent the old man that was once his apartment landlord flying across the room. The old man tried to sputter out some words, whether they were that of apologies, or further insults was unknown since Naruto didn't care since it was time to get his pound of flesh from the bastard. All Naruto wanted out of the man while cutting him to pieces was the screams of agony and gurgling sound the old man made before dying from his injuries while drowning in his own blood. And by Kami, he got it, and then some. It's good to be me, thought Naruto, as he took out an explosive tag, but had an additional seal added to it to make the explosion go off with that of others that were placed within 50 feet of the first one. Within 20 minutes, the apartment was ready for demolishing, and Naruto did just that after making a hand sign that triggered the original placed in his old room. And in that same moment, the people of Konoha knew just who it was that marked the Leaf Village, and made it his own by marking it as such. Naruto had marked his territory within Konoha, had shown that those that wronged him were on notice, and he didn't regret any of it. Chapter 6 Akatsuki hunting. Naruto entered the Hokage's office through her window, fully cloaked, and decided how long it would take the old hag to finally notice he was there. He had done this for well over a week now, and each time it was funny to see Tsunade's reaction to getting the crap scared out of her. Tsunade had yelled, tried to punch, and throw object at Naruto for doing it no matter how funny he personally thought it was. And now here Naruto was again. Naruto, if you are there, you better undo that cloaking thing you have now, or I'm going to hit you where the sun doesn't shine on your body, said Tsunade, as she suspected it was either Naruto, or Jiraiya lurking around her at the moment. Naruto of course stayed silent the whole time, seeing Tsunade's reaction at getting silence to her demand, and the grumbling about disrespectful brats. Naruto could only smile at her under his mask and secretly moved behind the woman before putting a hand on her chair. And shook it wildly. Your detection abilities need work, said Naruto, as the Hokage leapt out of her chair, over her desk, and got into fighting stance before she realized it was him. Damn it Naruto. Stop doing that, said Tsunade, as she would hit the bastard if it wasn't for the fact he could disappear, and then reappear whenever he wanted. Then be more aware, said Naruto, as he saw her growl at him, and let out a chuckle in response. I swear you're going to be the death of me, said Tsunade before getting a bottle of sake and drinking its contents. Not if your aggressive drinking doesn't get you first, said Naruto, as he let Tsunade glare at him, and waited until she was back in her seat. Very funny. The reason I wanted you to come to my office was to give you a mission of great importance, and I think you know what mission that is, said Tsunade, as she saw him nod, and it was the mission Naruto really wanted. Hunting down the remaining Akatsuki members, said Naruto, as he had been itching to take the fight to all of them, and make himself more infamous. Yes. The councils originally wanted me to send you on some suicide mission to Kumo, then Iwa shortly after, but I told them that was out of the question, and that Akatsuki was a major threat that you had to take care of before things get out of hand with them, said Tsunade, as she had a heavy argument with those idiots about how, and where Naruto could use his talents effectively. What do they know, except to fill their own pockets with money, and bleed life out a village that hates the son of their greatest hero, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade wince at that, and took the mission scroll from her of all the listed members of Akatsuki that Jiraiya got from his spy network. Ouch. And I thought my heart was cold towards this place, thought Tsunade, as she saw him walk towards the window, and cloak himself before jumping out of it. She was never going to get used to that. Namikaze states sometime later, so Tsunade is sending you out on a long-term hunt for the other members of Akatsuki, said Hinata, as she saw him nod, and the look of disappointment on her face showed. During his time in Konoha, the rookies along with Guy's team, except Sakura, with their former senseis, except Kakashi, spending time with Naruto, and what he had been doing since his transformation. Kurenai glared at him at first for kidnapping Hinata and scaring the crap out of her in the belief she had lost her previous student. When asked how he came by his transformation, Naruto told them about the events that followed shortly after his exile from the Leaf, and the place he found that enhanced him beyond normal human capabilities. They were a little put off by Naruto's way of displaying his kills to the world, as well taking skulls for trophies, but the dual-colored haired man simply stated that was the way of the hunt, and left it at that. When asked about his eyes, Naruto told them that they were like a bloodline limit, which allowed him to see the body heat of his prey, and that they were perfect for interrogations to see through people in case they lied. Kiba didn't believe him, as he felt that such a skill was impossible, and Naruto dared the Inuzuka to prove him wrong. Kiba of course had decided to take up the challenge by saying he was no longer a virgin among his peers, which earned him a fist to his skull by Ino, and Tenten along with Naruto stating that the statement was false. Everyone laughed at Kiba's expense for that one. I know it takes us away from each other after only just getting back, but I promise to return, and we'll make up for lost time again, said Naruto, as he was behind her now, and gave Hinata a loving hug with the young woman blushing from the contact. I know. I just wish I could go with you, said Hinata, as this was a solo mission, and the Hokage would not let her tag along for this. Me too. Once I get back, I intend to wash my hands clean of this place, and take you with me to Spring Country to start anew. How does that sound? Said Naruto, as Hinata turned around, and saw he was being serious before tackling him with tears of joy. Really? You mean it? Oh Naruto-kun, that sounds wonderful, said Hinata, as she was so happy in hearing the news, and was glad he was going to take the princess's offer with her right beside him. Glad you approve. As for the mission itself, I don't leave until tomorrow, and I think it's only right that we spend some quality time together before I head out. Don't you agree, Hinata-chan? Said Naruto, as one of his hands snaked down to her rump, and loved the squeak she made when he gave it a loving squeeze. You always did know how to push my buttons, Naruto-kun, said Hinata, as her cheeks were red from his groping hand, and then the other one molesting her chest. That's because I know just which buttons to press, Hinata-chan, said Naruto, as he removed her clothing, and she removed his before the two went at it like rabbits in heat. Border of Fire and Wind Country days later, damn it, this sucks. Why do we even have to walk to Suna? Said Deidara, as he would have preferred flying there on a clay bird, and was even willing to tolerate letting Sasori ride with him to the hidden village. You know why? We need to prevent ourselves from being detected by the Nine Tails, said Sasori, as they had been told by their spies that Tsunade had given the Namikaze the go-ahead to hunt down the rest of the Akatsuki organization, and wipe them all out. Oh, spare me. Itachi and Kisame just got careless. I could take the so-called masked hunter easily, said Deidara, as he would take some clay, make a few bombs, and boom. Instant death. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it, said a voice from above in the trees, and the cloaked figure that was Namikaze Naruto descended upon them with his combi stick. The two instantly dodged the attack, as Deidara reached into his bag for some clay for his bombs, and Sasori summoned several of his living puppets to create additional numbers to overpower Naruto. The Namikaze threw his combi stick with incredible force at one of Sasori's puppets and pinning it to a tree before unleashing one of his shuriken blade that he let loose into the air with the intent of taking Deidara head clean off. He got one of the man's arms, but it was a start. Shit. The bastard got my ring arm, said Deidara, as he would have reached for it, but the weapon was coming back, and he had to move out of the way to keep the rest of his body parts intact. As for Sasori, he was currently jumping around to avoid the chakra-like attacks that were being fired from the strange device on Naruto's shoulders, and already had several close calls. His puppets had already paid the price in his place for underestimating Naruto and now had to fight the demon vessel without them with only the help of an injured Deidara. The puppet master no understood why Itachi and Kisame fell at the young hunter's hands not that long ago. How does it feel to be the hunted one in all of this? How does it feel not being the big bad predator in this game of hunter and fox? It's no fun when the fox is bigger than the hunter and had more than claws to kill you with too. Does it? Said Naruto smirking behind his mask, as he caught the shuriken, and then in a surprise move he threw it at Sasori with the puppet master being unable to get out of the way. The weapon took Sasori's head clean off his body before spinning around and slicing vertically through his upper body. Damn you. I'll make you pay for this. I planned to save this for Itachi one day, but considering he's dead, you will have to take his place, and enjoy the art that is my work before you die, said Deidara, as he was going to unleash his grandest of explosive art that was his prized creation upon Naruto with the one hand he still had. But before the Akatsuki member could do that, Naruto had grabbed his combi stick, and rushed towards him with incredible speed. I too am an artist when it comes to the ways of death, and right now, you are one of my many masterpieces, said Naruto, as he thrust the combi stick at Deidara into the man's stomach, which struck flesh before the Namikaze used his free hand, and grabbed the girl-looking blonde man's face that instantly knocked the Akatsuki member off balance onto the ground. This cannot be, thought Deidara, as he tried create one last bomb with his free hand, and almost succeed had Naruto not seen it before snapping the man's neck with a horrible snap. Your rings will make excellent trophies in place of your disfigured skull, said Naruto before taking the ring off of Deidara and then Sasori's puppet hand. Without another word, the Namikaze cloaked himself, and then threw an explosive tag onto the ground that was enhanced by his chakra before leaving the area that would soon be destroyed by an incredibly large explosion. Border of Fire and Lightning Country 2 weeks later. I wish you wouldn't pray to that fucking violent god of yours before a fight heat on, said Kakuzu, as he saw the man praying since they were close to the border, and the missing nin from hidden in hot water wanted to kill people in honor of his damn god. Shut the fuck up, Kakuzu. I don't like it when you interrupt my praying time to Jashin-sama, said Hidan, as he continued praying, and hoped Jashin would forgive him for the interruption. Then you're going to love me, said Naruto. He appeared to the side of Kakuzu, and drew his wrist blades out before shoving them right into the man's chest. Shit. That hurt, you bastard. Now I'm pissed, said Kakuzu, as he felt his lungs, and 2 of his hearts had been punctured by Naruto's wrist blades. Good, said Naruto before throwing the missing nin aside and turned his attention to the man's partner. You can't kill me. I am protected by Jashin himself. Even if you could decapitate me, I would still live, and make you suffer, said Hidan, as he brought out his scythe, and prepared to destroy his foe. If the history of this world has taught us anything, you can get anybody you want to if you put your mind to it, and right now I have an idea on how to kill your pale Jashin-loving ass, said Naruto, as he did have an idea, but carrying it out would be a pain, and he only had 1 shot at it. Bring it on, you freak, said Hidan, as he charged forward, and Naruto drew his sword to his left hand while keep his wrist blades out on his right. The two clashed fiercely while Kakuzu struggled to get up off the ground where Naruto had thrown him. His other 3 hearts could pick up the slack, but his lungs were still being a pain too, and needed to get that fixed too. Granted, he could stick around to help out Hidan fight the Kyuubi vessel, but Kakuzu didn't really want to crowd them in his current condition, and Hidan would no doubt bitch later about his interference to offer up a great sacrifice to Jashin. Let them sort it out. Besides, Hidan can't die due to his damn religion no matter how hard people try, and I doubt the Kyuubi brat could pull it off, thought Kakuzu, as he decided to retreat for now, and come back later when Hidan won. If Hidan won, that is. You're pretty good. It's almost a shame that I can't kill you in the name of Jashin-sama, as you would make a wonderful sacrifice, said Hidan, as he tried to cut the demon vessel in order to get his blood, and perform the needed ritual to hurt Naruto. What's really a shame, is I can't take your skull as a trophy, and I once again have to settle for a ring, said Naruto, as caught the pole of the scythe in between the gap of his wrist blades with the point of the blade touching his armor while sword hand was arched at an angle that took off Hidan's hands just past the wrist. Ow! Look at what you've done, you fucking piece of shit, yelled Hidan, as he stumbled back against a tree, and would have began ranting further had a net pinned him to the tree behind him that began tightening around his body. Don't hate the hunter. Hate the prey, said Naruto, as he took the ring, and the scythe out of the hands before seeing Hidan was in multiple pieces on the ground. And yet he was still alive. Seeing the pile of flesh now in a single spot, Naruto threw the hands of Hidan onto the pile before pulling out a canister of blue solvent just like the one he used on Orochimaru to kill the bastard, and poured the contents onto the pile. While he did this, Hidan was ranting on with his still intact mouth before crying out in pain, and then was followed by silence with the pile being turned to nothing. Now it was time to hunt down Kakuzu. With Kakuzu, the greedy missing nin saw the town ahead and smirked at the possibility of the new organs he could acquire to extend his lifespan beyond its already expectancy in the game of life. What bothered the former waterfall nin was the fact by the time he got to this place, he was fully expecting his religious partner to defeat the Kyuubi vessel, and be back here with him all ready to help with more sacrifices that damn Jashin. Kakuzu's thoughts on the matter are stopped when he feels one of his 3 remaining hearts leave his body via the combi stick Naruto had, and the weapon plus heart are now connected to a nearby tree. Kakuzu snarls, as he turns around to see Naruto standing there with the scythe on his back, and the missing nin can almost see the smile behind the damn mask with the area where the eyes were on it flashing red for a brief second. I never took you for a coward, said Naruto, as he saw the missing nin shrug, and look at his pierced heart in the tree before looking back at him. I'm not. It's just that I'd like to live a little longer and you've already killed the majority of the organs in me. Would it be so wrong to get a few replacements before we have it again? Said Kakuzu, who got his answer in the form of wrist blades, and shuriken being brought out. Yes. Yes, it does. A true shinobi always finishes what he or she starts, and my mission will not be finished with you until I get my trophy, said Naruto, as he saw Kakuzu nod, and then moved into a taijutsu stance. If that were true for someone like me, then I would have kept trying to kill Shadaime of the Leaf after my first failure to assassinate, and eventually kill him, said Kakuzu, as he moved with incredible speed towards Naruto, and forced the masked hunter to leap back before overthrowing the shuriken. Kakuzu again moved in closer, as he believed his taijutsu, and overall years worth of his experience in being a shinobi would give him an edge. What he hadn't counted on was Naruto not being affected like others would have been from his blows, and the demon vessel actually wanted the missing nin to get close. By getting close, Naruto was able to give his wrist blades a chance to once more take out another heart, and Kakuzu, it was only his instincts right now that allowed him to keep at least one heart right now. The missing nin leapt out of the way of the wrist blade that left a deep gash along his chest and turned around to see the spinning shuriken coming at him. Kakuzu tried to get out of the way, but the weapon sliced through his arm at the elbow, and back to its owner before Naruto made it shrink into a tiny circular disc in order to pocket it. Kakuzu knew he was in trouble now, as he was now more crippled than any other time in his long life of being a shinobi, and saw that one of Naruto's chakra shooting weapons on his shoulder moving with a strange red light from the mask aiming at him before a loud thunderous booming sound was heard with the crimson energy soon following. It tore through the missing nin's remaining hearts and the man finally tasted death after spending so many years avoiding its clutches. With the task done, Naruto walked over to the now dead shinobi, and took the ring off Kakuzu's finger before once more pulling solvent on the body to make sure no one could bring the guy back to life. It was for the best considering this particular pair of Akatsuki members and their way of staying immortal like the other members no doubt claimed to be. Now there was only a small handful left for Naruto to kill. Then this whole mess would be over. Konoha secret meeting room, we have to do something. The demon is out of control. We have no way to rein him in now that Danzo is gone, said Homura, as he along with Koharu, and the others that were with him on the civilian council currently in on this meeting that weren't arrested. What about the man's remaining root shinobi? Surely they will follow us? Said Haruno Toshi, as he had told his daughter to stay away from the demon regardless of his heritage in being the Namikaze heir, and to focus on being better than her so-called friends. They will, but they are hesitant to make moves against the Hokage due to her having so much support, and the Fire Daimyo has taken much of the power we have taken from that title over the years. We need to remove Tsunade's symbol of strength, her hope, and her courage to oppose us, said Koharu, as she knew more about running the village than that drunken Senju woman ever could, and made her displeasure known to the Hokage when she could despite all the events that happened shortly after the banishment of the demon vessel. But that may not be possible given the demon's current power. He's out on that mission to kill the members of Akatsuki, and even with us secretly alerting them of that fact we have yet to hear that the monster had been taken care of, said another member of the civilian council. True, but you forget that Akatsuki is filled with S-ranked missing nin, and if anyone can kill the Kyuubi vessel it is them, said Homura, as he knew that the only ones in the elemental countries capable of killing the demon were them, and even if they didn't the weakening of the creature would give them the chance to finish it off themselves. As for the root shinobi that were loyal to Danzo, we have positioned them all over Konoha to strike out against the demon when he returns, if at all from his mission, and have them strike him down before Tsunade can be alerted to stop it, said Koharu, as she saw them all nod, and they departed from the meeting room. All of them were completely unaware of the fly on the corner of the wall flying right out of the room above their heads, as it was not the usual house fly that flew around pissing people off, and then dying a few days later. No. This was a special Aburame spying fly they developed to be the pre-verbal fly on the wall when spying on others at the request of the Hokage when the fire shadow had a good reason for it, and this was one of those rare times that such an insect was used inside the walls of Konoha. The Hokage was not going to like what this fly told the Aburame, who was going to tell her what the fly heard in that room. Ame village -5 days later, we have a problem Pain-sama, said White Half Zetsu, as he appeared before Pain and Konan with both sides of his face showing worry. Damn right we do. All the other members are dead, said the dark half of Zetsu, as he decided to get straight to the point, and just say it before Pain asked in his place. What? How? Said Konan, as she surprised that all the other members were killed off so easily, and in a short amount of time. It was the Kyuubi vessel. He hunted them all down and took their rings as trophies along with Hidan's scythe, said the dark half of Zetsu, as he was angry, and a tad bit afraid of the Kyuubi vessel now. We searched the areas they fought and found their bodies had been could only be described as disintegrated, said the white half of Zetsu, sounding like a frightened child being hunted down by the boogeyman. Though Freddy Krueger was probably more appropriate given all the blades the Kyuubi vessel had on his person. Disintegrated? Strange. Konan, we will deal with this one ourselves, and the focus on finding the Kyuubi vessel's hideout to get the rings, said Pain, as he saw his second in command nod, and yet the woman beside him seemed hesitant to do this. Though Konan would never say it in front of Pain. How do we find the Kyuubi vessel? Said Konan, as she knew that the Namikaze was not going to be found so easily, and it was going to be even tougher to subdue. We don't have to Konan. He's already here in Ame, said Pain, as he saw Konan's eyes widen, and saw the look of concern flash upon her face. Do you think he knows about your true Pain body? Said Konan, since the man before her was Pain and yet was not Pain. Yes. We have to hurry if we are to said Pain, as his body staggered, and fell to his knees in agony. Pain-sama ! Pain-sama, said the two sides of Zetsu in shock. He's here. He found my true form. Stop him, Konan, said Pain, as his body began to spasm even more, and then slumped down dead. No, yelled out Konan, as she knew that with the real Pain dead, the one before her would fall like a pet with its strings cut, and be dead just like the others. You loved him. Didn't you? Said Naruto, as he appeared before the two members since he had sent a shadow clone to deal the killing blow to the real Pain after finding the man by finding the strongest source of chakra, and then followed the heat signature that went with it until the real Pain was found a safe distance from here. This man was like a more alternate, but more advanced version of Sasori in terms of the use of puppets, and made the Suna puppet master look like a weak child apprentice in that regard. I'll kill you, yelled Konan, as tears filled her eyes, and paper surrounded her reformed into sharp-looking blade before unleashing them on Naruto. Only to reveal that she had only destroyed a shadow clone. The real man behind all of this, the one you loved without question, was dying, said Naruto, as he appeared to her right, and saw the anger in her eyes while Zetsu was now arguing with himself on whether to help the woman or get out of there. It doesn't mean you had to kill him, said Konan, as he made a sword out of paper, and was going to run him through with it had he not raised a hand to tell her to stop. Perhaps not, but he was my enemy, and I could not let him kill me for the sake of his own ambitions that put those I care about at risk, said Naruto, as he didn't want to kill this woman, and sensed she was a gentle soul despite her joining the Akatsuki. And that gives you the right? You are no better than that damn bastard Hanzo or his ally Danzo when they conspired to kill those close to me for the sake of their ambitions, said Konan, as she charged him with the intent of her sharp paper sword to pierce through his armor, and flesh to end his life. Naruto easily stepped aside and grabbed her wrists hard before pulling Konan close to his masked face. First off, don't compare me to that bastard Danzo, and second, I personally killed the old prick, so be grateful I killed our mutual enemy in that regard. Another thing you need to realize, is that by extracting the demons from their vessels like me, you kill us for your own ambitions, and I am doing what I must to protect my kin from your organization. What right does your leader have in killing us for his ambition? What right do you have in killing all 9 of us just so you can take the coward's way out of bringing your so-called peace to the elemental countries that would have been done through fear? That's not peace. That's a fucking dictatorship, said Naruto, as saw the woman before him shaking, and threw her to the ground before turning his attention to Zetsu now done arguing with himself. Stay away from us, said the white half of Zetsu. Yeah. What he said the dark half of Zetsu. Then give me your ring and I won't, said Naruto, as he knew the rings were key to Akatsuki's plans, and this would further hurt the organization's plans. That and Zetsu wasn't worthy in terms of being hunted. Give him the ring, said the dark half Zetsu to the white half of Zetsu. Hold on, the ring stuck, said the white Zetsu, as he finally got it removed, and threw it at Naruto before getting out of there in a heartbeat. Now yours, said Naruto turning to face the still downed woman currently crying her heart out at his feet. Kill me. Kill me please, said Konan, as she slowly took the ring off, and placed it by his right foot. Why? Said Naruto with his head cocked to the right and saw Konan look up at him with her tear-stained eyes. Why? Because you took away someone I love. It was because of him that I survived for so long after Jiraiya of the Sannin taught us the basics to survive when we were kids, said Konan, as she felt lost without the man she swore to follow, and support his dream no matter what. Even if what they did felt somewhat wrong. No, said Naruto before picking up the ring and began walking away. Why? Why are you sparing me? Said Konan. Because you are not like the others of this organization. You didn't join for the same reasons they did. I see light in your heart where they had darkness in theirs. That alone makes you worthy of living. The people in this village will follow you, even after they learn pain is gone, and that is your role in life from now on. To protect them. They are your precious people now. Live for them, if for nothing else, said Naruto, as he left Konan on the ground to think about his words, and hoped she would embrace them. Wait. There is one more you need to kill before the organization is gone, said Konan, as she felt he needed to know about his final, and most powerful of enemies. Who is that? Said Naruto now stopping and turning slightly to face her. He's the true leader of Akatsuki. The one, who came to us all, and offered us a chance to fulfill our dreams. His name is, Uchiha Madara, said Konan, as she felt killer intent from Naruto skyrocket, and clench his fists tightly to the point that his healing factor was the only thing preventing him from drawing blood. Kill him. Kill him, my vessel. It's because of him I attacked the leaf and made your life miserable in the first place, roared the QB, as he hated Madara more than anything this world had to offer, and QB had seen The Postman. Why Cammy gave Kevin Costner work after that movie, QB will never know, and in a way QB didn't want to know. Thank you for this information. Maybe in the distant future, we will meet once again under better circumstances, and even call each other friends, said Naruto, as he left the woman to slowly rise to her feet, and seek out Madara. The man's skull would become the ultimate trophy. Thanks for listening, and remember, the disrespect is real. Goodbye.